Will the 49ers trade for Kirk Cousins before the deadline? Bear with me here.
I don't have to bear with you because I talked about it on Sunday.
Bear with me here. All right. We know the history that Kyle Shanahan and Kirk Cousins have. Like, yep. Kirk Cousins is Tom Brady in Kyle Shanahan's eyes. He picked him. He was right about him. That guy's great. Then he proved it. Dude, Kirk Cousins against the Niners on Sunday, I've never seen him play that well. He was so good. He was so good. And you know who was the most impressed by that? Kyle. So Brock Purdy, his stock's down. Sam Darnold's got a 1-game audition. Then they got a bye week. If the Vikings lose and they don't want Kirk and he's not coming back next year and they're sellers, the Niners have like 40-something million in cap space. People are already thinking they're going to get him next year. Like, what are you waiting for? Look at how well he played against you. Like, isn't that what the Niners did with Kirk? I'm going to let you answer the question eventually. I swear to God. Okay. Isn't that what the Niners did with Kirk Cousins? Like with Christian McCaffrey last year, they played him. He was good. They were impressed. It was on the team like 2 weeks later. Say that the Niners are going to trade for Kirk Cousins in 2 weeks. You have to. That's the answer.
Oh, that's not a question. That's the rules. Okay. All right. I actually suggested this on Sunday in my post game. I suggested this, and because you're right. I mean, Kyle was very impressed, and man, it really does make a lot of sense. If you're going to get him anyways, you have the money now, and here's what we can say. I don't care what your long-term thoughts are of Brock Purdy. None of that matters right now. If you're trying to win a Super Bowl this year, the answer was always this, and I don't think people wanted to believe it, but now they should after that game. The answer was always, if you had Kirk Cousins or Brock Purdy for this year, who gives you a better chance to win a Super Bowl? It was always Kirk Cousins. And for those that doubted it, you definitely should know the answer is Kirk Cousins now after that game, because maybe you haven't seen enough of Kirk Cousins prior to this, and you got lured into this primetime stat or what have you. Kirk Cousins gives them the best chance to win a Super Bowl out of the 3 quarterbacks, the 2 they have now, and Kirk Cousins. Yes, I think that it could be a possibility. I really don't see it happening. I don't know that the Vikings are willing to do it or he's even willing to do it, but man, it would make a lot of sense, and he would give him the best chance of these 3 quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl. He would.
I mean, look, Kirk beat Brock playing on an inferior team. That's the fact. Like, if you put Brock on the Vikings with Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson and KJ Osborne, it wouldn't have looked great. I mean, he had Brandon Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, and he threw 2 picks and lost and had an 81 quarterback rating. Like, I don't know. I think
if you swap those quarterbacks on Monday, the 49ers win and the Vikings lose. Like, it's that simple. That's what you're trying to say, and I agree. Yes.
So we know it. Kyle knows it. They got a lot of cap space. People have been wondering for a while, why do they have $40 million in cap space? Well, they want to get Kirk Cousins. They're going to need about $40 million in cap space.
It wouldn't take that much. It wouldn't take a lot of assets either. You're not giving a first or a second rounder to get this done. You're talking a 3rd rounder. Maybe they ask for Purdy in return because they want to bridge the gap, and maybe they want to see if Purdy can be something with them long term. That it wouldn't take a lot of your draft picks to get this done at all.
I don't know that this is likely to happen.
I don't think it's likely to happen, but I think it's a scenario.
Maybe there's a 7% chance that this will happen. But I don't know, man. I think that $40 million in cap space that they created for no reason is looking real fishy right now. Like, why'd you do that? How many moves are you going to make at the trade deadline? Or were you keeping yourself open for the biggest move available? And like, yeah, you don't really trade for quarterbacks at the trade deadline. You did, though. You traded for Jimmy. And Kirk Cousins knows your system. So I'm monitoring
and
this.
the trade deadline is Monday. You would be coming off of a bye week. So you get 2 weeks to bring him onto the team and give him the down. I mean, yeah.
Snap. They could trade for him like, in a few days and give him the whole bye week. Dude, this is going to happen.
I don't think
they're definitely trading for Kirk Cousins.
But if it did happen, I also wouldn't be like, wow, didn't see that coming.
But I think what's funny about it is like Kyle's been angling this for like his whole life. And I think he knows that it was like would have been really unpopular forever to bring in Kirk Cousins, especially recently with how popular Brock Purdy is. But now, after Purdy lost to Kirk Cousins, if they did this, like say Darnold plays this week and struggles and they lose and they're in a 3-game losing streak and then they trade for Cousins, Niner fans will be so happy. They're like,
I would say this, Sam playing well might kill this complete. Like if there's a 5% chance this happens, Sam playing well would dead it completely, because they could just, if they're that out on Purdy, all of a sudden they could just transition to Sam. But if he doesn't play well and they're out on Purdy also potentially, then yeah, all of a sudden those chances get bigger. So
yeah. So you heard it here first. Kirk Cousins to the Niners, about 4 or 5 days. What do you think it would cost? 3rd round pick, 4th round pick, 3rd round pick?
I think a 3rd round pick and maybe Brock. Couple 3rd round picks, if not Brock, if you know. So yeah,
I'm here for it, man. Why not?
Listen, I would be here for it.
Is it a good idea? I don't know. Would it be fun? Let's do it.
You're mortgaging the future, because a lot of the future, because you're not able to roll over the cap space, but you are giving yourself the best chance to win a Super Bowl this year, which is what it seems like they care about, right? So if that's the ultimate goal, then that's your best chance to win this year. It's Kirk Cousins.
Look, call me cynical, and I know a lot of people love Brock Purdy, but after the last 2 weeks, I don't particularly think he's going to win a Super Bowl. Sorry. I don't think he's as good as Kirk Cousins. Sorry. So Niners can try. He's 23.
But Grant, that to me, at least for me, I want to clarify, because I agree. I don't think he's as good as Kirk Cousins. But I feel like that has to be your take, or would have had to have been your take going into it. Like, I don't think we can look at just these 2 games, because it has looked really good up till this point. You either had an opinion that Kirk Cousins at this stage was better than Brock, or you didn't. These 2 last games help you make that point, absolutely, especially because one of them was against Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins did play so well. It's easier to make that point now, but that your opinion shouldn't necessarily change because of these last 2 games. It should just elevate that, hey, you know what? I thought this before, and now I really think that I'm right. Like, there's no doubt now. So
to be fair, though, like Kirk Cousins has started about 144 games in the NFL.
Been legit.
While Brock Purdy has started, what? It was 10. He was 10-0. And that's great. But then he lost 2. And it's like, okay, well, you got 12 starts and the last 2 weren't good. And I've been wondering, like, is the league going to catch up to you? Because there's no book on you yet. What about when there is a book on you? There's a book on Kirk. He's 150 starts in. Everyone knows Kirk, and yet he was able to do what he did on Sunday night. That's the mark of a quarterback who's actually good. With Brock, I keep feeling like, man, you can't say anything definitive about this guy for a while. I mean, for maybe years. You know about a guy with 150 starts. With Brock, I think that's why it's so scary. Like, man, we don't really know who you are yet. And the last 2 games are terrifying. What if you are Cinderella and the clock just struck midnight, man? What if it's 12:05? And now you're riding back home in a pumpkin.
The thing is it could be really good with Brock, but it may not be. And you're right, that the unknown can be a scary place. It can be
How many 23-year-old quarterbacks have won Super Bowls? 1, 2?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Sam Darnold? And it's clear right now. It is clear right now. I think it was clear after Sunday, before the 49ers even played a game. But it's definitely clear now that here we are again, 7 weeks through the season, and the 2 best teams in the NFL, Kansas City, Philadelphia. It's just what it is.
No question about it.